Hey guys, I'm back with the Yupo experiment. This is Vicki. I discovered this technique by accident and started filming this example last week. And then, as we're all prone to do, I goofed and melted my Yupo. But, here it is. And I've tried rolling it, reheating it to get the lumpies and bumpies out of it. And can't get it out, but lesson learned, you're better off with a hairdryer than a heat gun. Also, that piece was 74 pound, I think, and there's a 114, so the 114 wouldn't have that tendency as much. However, I'm going to keep going because we're all about doing that and fixing. It's not really a mistake, it's an opportunity. As Carolyn Doobie says, an outstanding opportunity presents itself, or something like that. Sorry, Carolyn. Anyway, this is a painting I did in 2005, and watercolor of any kind is very difficult to photograph. As you can tell here, and then I've got my lighting. I don't think that will improve it. Not really. So, you're just going to have to use your imagination. The technique that you guys were curious about, you can see it. Let me get my arm balanced. You can see it right here. Look at that dirty fingernail. Oh well. I is an artist, what can I say? When the pigment dries, the water dries on the outer edge first, and it causes the pigment to settle right on that dry edge. And then as the water dries inward, and I helped this with a hairdryer, and I don't think I'm not sure you'll get the same effect without the hairdryer. But anyway, it makes neat little floral patterns, and then I came back in and just very lightly added the greens. Here's another great one. Look at the shape of that flower. I just think that's so cool. Let's see, here's another one. Looks just like a rose. Trying to get it so it shows. The blue one up at the top is cool. And then of course some splatters, and it's fun. And I did this one, did a couple more, and went on to something else and never came back to it until now. Here's a cool one. So you have to look within your pattern and see what you see, and make something out of it. Or not. Even the textures are cool. So anyway, there's that painting. I'll be right back. I'm back. Boy, this is so hot. Hot, hot, hot. It's really got some nice variation in it, but the lighting is blowing it out. The main technique I use is what makes Yupo problematic for working on for painting, and also makes it very interesting. And that is the fact that I could take this to the kitchen sink, scrub it off, and unless the pigment had stained the paper, the plastic, I could go back to a clean sheet. But we're going to call this one damaged because I melted it and I'm so unhappy with myself. But 74 pound cover. This could always be cut in pieces, so I'm going to use it for my demo today. The process involves lifting. So you get it wet, and you have some toilet tissue or Kleenex or paper towel, anything that's absorbent, or like I've used before, my trusty sponge and a plastic holder. Isn't that cool? Alright, now if I quit saying and find my acrylic brush. Alright, I've got an MIA. I had a pretty good pointed acrylic brush, and it has gone AWOL, so I could use one of my watercolor brushes, but I found this one, and it is an Eagle Allure, but it's a dagger type, so I should be able to get a pretty good point. Alright, enough mumbling. It's a constant battle to keep my stuff organized so I can put my hand on it when I want it. I see some floral shapes in here that we can pull out. Here's one. Like that would be the center of the flower. This could be a bud. Be great if you could see it. Bud. Here's a leaf shape. So, another floral shape. I'm just going to start on this and pretend this paper's in good shape and show you how I do it. And then we'll take a look at this other one I did, which quite honestly I can't think of a thing to improve this. Look at the sediment I got with the ultramarine blue. Now again, we're in watercolor pigment. This is ultramarine blue, and look at how that sediment gathered as it dried. Here's another good area. It almost, well, it is. It's actual hard mineral parts of the pigment. The green picks some up too, right in here. And that's one of the nuances of watercolor paint that you generally don't know about until after you've worked with it a while. And that is a tool that you use. I'm not quite to that point. I'm aware of it, but as far as really using it to my advantage in a watercolor painting, I haven't yet. But this looks like malachite or a real pretty granite. So I don't know what I'll do with this. I'm open to suggestions. Let me know. Okay, so we're going to put that one up there. I've got a clean water bowl up here. And I'm going to show you first how I would come in and lift. Better figure out first which way your light's coming. And I'm going to say it's coming from the upper left. So that means if this petal were curling up just a little, see how that lifts up? And you got to be real intent that you don't take up too much. So if it looks like you have, come back in and re-wet that just a little bit. Another thing that I really like to use are Q-tips, because you have a little bit more control over where you go in and pick up that highlight. You will also create new lines if you want to as that pigment dries. So there's just a little bit of a light as though that petal were cupped toward the upper left. And let's say that we've got a little bit more light hitting here and maybe in here. And you really don't have to touch much at all, not rub at all, just barely go in there. See where it's wet? And I've just pulled a little bit. You can always go back and add more. Let's see, this edge right here might be, and I'm just tippy-toeing my way through this. Let's hit this edge. My theory is over here on this side, if the flower was cupped and the light was coming from here, actually it would be the reverse. It'd be like this. If the light was hitting, my hand is the entire petal, this way, then the light would hit here and this edge would curve to the back, which of course would take it more into shadow. So, there you go. You don't even have to take and lift the whole thing. You can just make a little dot in there. Move that pigment back. Can we see? Crap, this is hard to film. Well, that was right here. Right here. You can't see that at all. I'm so sorry. Right here, the pigment formed another dark shadow. Picking my way around trying to find some flower shapes or petal forms. I'm going to try to fill this back in a little bit. And not to worry, because you can always come back in and add more pigment. Vary the length of your lines or the width of your lines. Okay. I needed this like I needed a hole in my head the other day, but I wanted it. Randy had a closing, so I got its Koi watercolor sketch box. The reason I like this is that the cakes are very soft, and I've made a palette with Daniel Smith tube colors and let them dry, but they're so hard they don't, I mean, you really have to scrub at them to get the color. So I got my little Koi box just because I've been a good girl. Let's see, what am I gonna do to counteract some of that red? I'm gonna put just a little bit of an olive green. Green is the complement of red. And excuse me, I had a message from Mr. Randy. So in theory, that should tone down some of this orange. A very, very, very light touch is required, or you'll pick up everything that's in the middle. I mean, you'll pick up everything that's on the paper, and you don't want to do that. It's okay if you do, because you can put it back. So you want to come in real carefully and pretty much daub your color on for this step. I'm trying to find the shadow shapes. As though this were a real petal. Get in and get out. And let the pigment work its own magic. And I'm seeing the butt end of a rose right there. And the little curly tip thing that comes up. Yeah, whatever you call it. The part that opens up when you No telling how long I've had this brush and haven't even used it. I have switched over and I'm using a little bit of the brighter green right here. It's a little bit more of a sap green or grass green. Okay, so there's the bottom of my rose. Now let's lift just a little bit more right here. Are y'all bored yet? Hope not. I want to make this look like it's been negative painted. Now remember that every painting has an intermediate stage when it looks like gradu. You can also control this paint a little bit more with a very pointed brush. This one kind of serves the bill, but it's giving me a little bit of problem. I'm not blotting unless I actually want to remove the pigment. You can move the pigment without taking it off. Damp brush with just a little bit of water. Don't want a whole lot. I'm not happy with that shadow. But since we're dealing with a piece of paper that's been melted, I don't think it matters. Okay, it's kind of beginning to take form. Let's give this one a hard edge on the outside. This is just a bud. See how quick that picks up? And over here, let's pick up on the flower's edge. You probably got that a little backwards if the light was coming there, but it could glow from the back. Now let's put a little bit of green. Now the other thing that you can do is if you want a cleaner green, let's just do that. I'm going to pick this completely up. Now it's back pretty much to the white. Now I'm going to drop in my plain green. Okay, see how you can manipulate the pigment to make it be what you want it to be? So there's that little stem just heading back in there. Look at this little green. Perfect little shape for those, you know, those little thingies that open when the flower comes out. You can do this as long as you want to play with it. In fact, I think I'm going to do that over here. I'm going to pull that completely up. Hey, that's a nice shadow shape. And I'm going to put that bright green right in the middle. I'm going to lift just a little bit right there. You don't have to blot. What I'm doing is moving my damp brush along the side or along the area that I want to clean, and I'm blotting my brush. And it got dry on me, so. We're getting a little bit of dimension in there. I'm going to take away this edge as though it were negative painted. See that flower now? If I kill some of the red, tell you what, I'm going to lighten some of it. Well, whoa. Well, at least now you can kind of see where I'm headed with it. What I can actually do now is exaggerate the shape of that rosebud by lifting paint. Just like that. Not too bad. Now let's go back down here, because if that's a flower, then the stem is going to be doing something over here. Back to my brighter green. Yeah, we need something. Oops, that's black. I know I don't want black. Purple. I want some purple. Okay, that's showing up pretty good. Let's go on back in here. I'm getting some interesting marks, but I really don't want these to compete with the flower. fact, I think what I'm going to do, we're going to try this. This is the Koi water brush. It comes with a plug. And see if I can get a smoother mark with that, because I can control the wetness of the brush a little more. We'll see. Remember, this is all about experimenting. I'm going to spray just a little bit. Whoops, there's where a little drop of water went. Get that purple to move a little bit. Now I'm just going to leave that alone. You know how hard that is for me to just leave something alone. There's an alizarin crimson. I feel I had a little bit of a wet mark on my finger, trying to keep my hands out of this.